Story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Omalape. In our major story, APC-PDP's councils threw caution to the wind, engage in war of words at Osun Election Tribunal. Also in this program, police hierarchy confirms about 20 policemen are still missing more than 1 month after Boko Haram insurgents took over the Mobile Police Training College in Gwoza, Borno State. Lagos State government advises stigmatized treatment Ebola patients to seek court action. Also in Nigeria now, a preliminary report by Dutch investigators says a Malaysian passenger jet which blew up over rebel-held East Ukraine with the loss of all 298 people on board was hit by numerous high-energy objects. Thank you for joining us again. We begin tonight. Owing to the leave granted of the Osun State People's Democratic Party and All Progressive Congress by the Election Petition Tribunal to inspect the ballot materials used for the August 9 election, the two parties converge on the INEC office for the exercise, but not without a drama as the party councils nearly went for each other's neck on some other issues. Rashid was at the INEC office and filing this report. About 20 policemen are still missing more than 1 month after Boko Haram insurgents took over the Mobile Police Training College in Gwoza, Borno State. Acting Inspector General Police Sulaiman Abba disclosed this to State House correspondent in Abuja. He noted that some of the policemen that were initially declared missing had found their way back to their families.
It's important. It's the one that is most difficult to do. When you are changing a culture that has been there for too long, then you should know that you are going to face a lot of challenges. Those involved in changes will tell you changing a culture, changing the character, changing attitude of personnel is very, very difficult. Naturally, it comes with resistance. It comes with a lot of challenges on its own, but somehow someone has to do it. I felt I should do it, not minding the team. I must tell you, the turnout of those missing is still impressive because we still have been able to trace some of the officers who have reported either back to their bases, Some have even reported back to their families. When you get through what they went through, the likelihood of you knowing what to do is not very tenable. There's the possibility that the decision of what you do may not be easily comprehensible. So some went back to their homes, and our concern is that once they are in safety, then we are satisfied, and the process of perhaps bringing... You know, every police officer knows that if you are on patrol on the street, there's the likelihood that someone who wants to do what is not right, who wants to commit a crime, sees you as an enemy. So once you are doing a patrol, you should know that there are also dangers associated with policing and associated with patrolling. So to us, facing dangers in the performance of police duties is not new. What is new is that this time around, the enemy is highly armed, and that is why the military is there to support us in fighting them. Thank you.
Nigeria's military authorities have confirmed that 2 officers and 3 soldiers were wounded in counter-terrorism operations in Adamawa State. But they declined to say whether one of the injured officers, Adebo, is son of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Defense headquarters says through its Twitter account that the wounded soldiers are receiving treatment in a military medical facility in the aftermath of the operation in Mubi. It added that the troops were involved in the first battle with Boko Haram insurgents as part of effort to root out the militants. Scores of insurgents, according to the military authorities, lost their lives, while several others escaped with fatal gunshot wounds. Now, Nigeria's security forces have not foreclosed investigation into claims by Australian host state negotiator Stephen Davies and Boko Haram sponsors. Government officials disclosed this as a security briefing at the National Information Center in Abuja. They also insist that facts would also be required to prove the allegations.
Because I saw a report yesterday on this matter in one of the papers that we said government will not investigate. But other media say government will investigate all information, which was what we gave here. The government will investigate all information made available to it. But you will not rush into investigating or arresting people if you don't have sufficient facts. This came from an open source. The person who himself had confessed not to have been engaged by the government of Nigeria, as was being speculated in the media, but has, just as with any other information relating to criminal activities, the government will not take it lightly, will look into it. The SSS had also spoken about it and said they will investigate Sharif and the rest.
We have asked all Nigerians, if you have facts, present them. There's nobody in Nigeria that is above the law. And of course, you are all aware that the Department of State Services has acted on information it received. And even somebody, you know, because the matter is in court, I wouldn't want to talk about it. So we are asking, don't just listen to hearsays. Who are these people? On Friday last week, we had to come out to debunk some of the claims. And we paraded the 6 suspects arrested in connection with the Nyanya bombings. I want to repeat myself if you didn't hear me. None of those 6 suspects in our custody is related by blood to one another.
Meanwhile, the Boko Haram insurgency has affected the lives of thousands of Nigerians and businesses, especially in the Northeast. The coordinator, National Emergency Management Agency for Northeast, Mohammed Kano, says there are over 20,000 internally displaced persons under its care at the moment in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Kano spoke through a telephone conversation on our flagship program called Digest.
About 26,000.
26,000?
Yes.
In Maiduguri?
Yes.
Okay, you made mention of camps. Where exactly are these 26,000 people?
The orientation camp is right inside Maiduguri along near Kano station. Kano Park, Kano Station Park. And then the other one is about a kilometer deep distance is Yarwaga Manga Secondary School. That is why we focus. And then we are working strongly with the state government. The state government have formed a committee which we are working together with them at all these camps to provide soccer for these people.
A public affairs analyst, Victor Haig, commended the agency but insisted that securing the territories by the Nigerian military will help the internally displaced person return to normal life.
26,000, for instance, that have been displaced. That is under the care of NEMA right now. If you say, okay, these are you forget the arms and you take care of them, obviously in the shortest possible time, these people will have no way, they will be attacked as well. So I think it's important to secure, you know, these territories.
Okay.
Is very, very important. The issue of the internally displaced persons right now, especially those now that have nowhere to go to, is a much more recent development. It's been ongoing, don't get me wrong, but it's not as serious as now that they have come out, the insurgents have come out of the forest and are now beginning to overrun towns and cities.
He also called on the political elite to stop playing politics with the lives of Nigerians.
You see, it is important for us to realize that every single life is important. The Chibok girls we are politicking with, the innocent lives, nobody is talking about them. Those families, are they not agonizing? I would be happier if the people who are talking about Chibok will organize and say, let them go and sympathize with the families of those who have lost their people. Are don't those lives count for anything? But we'll rather play politics, you know, and be seen on national television. I can assure you that if there was no press, media coverage, the people who are doing this, they would not do it. It's not that it's not important, okay? But let's stop politicking and let every life begin to count.
The incessant calls for action against corrupt practices in the country has again resonated in Lagos. This time, it was at a book launch in honor of late Nigeria's foremost human rights crusader, Gani Fahimi. Anita Fatiji was there and brought back this report.
Surely, the gathering could not have paraded people other than those regarded as the core of the nation's human rights community. This time, they gathered not to protest the state of the nation in their usual manner, but launched a book in commemoration of the 5th year memorial of Gani Fahimi. Even the title of the book, Images of an Iconic Social Crusader, could not have been less emphatic. Strangely though, the Lagos Commissioner for Transport, Kayode Okpeifa, who is regarded as an establishment faithful, presided over the occasion. He, however, as the occasion demands, speaks in the language better understood by the gathering.
Believe me, just looking at the picture on the cover of the book, this was a picture taken, I believe, 2005, talking about no to petrol, increase in fuel pump. And in 2012, it happened again. We don't know it might happen again. So these are the things the younger generations and also the present generation needs to read so that we can really appreciate what people have done. When people say something is in as can never happen, will never happen, not in Nigeria. We need to see what people said 5-10 years ago for us to build the kind of leadership we wanted.
The reviewer, Osa Director, a notable journalist, commends the book as a mentoring digest for the young generation as well as an insightful documentation of images on the legacies of Gani, especially his struggles for the emancipation of the rights of the Nigerian masses.
The biggest strength of the book, apart from being an avant-garde, is that it serves to mentor the younger generation that the fight for justice, equity and fair play is not a tea party. Mostly to let them know their heroes stand so that their efforts shall never be in vain.
And like father, like son, the state of the nation did not escape the passing comments of Mohammed, son of the late Ferry lawyer.
The solution is impeach Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, get all who is militarized, then dismiss the Minister for Defense and get all who is young. The Minister of Defense is almost 80, he's old enough to be my grandfather. He was National Security Advisor in Nigeria for 20 years. What would he possibly know that I don't know or know better?
For their part, another frontline journalist, Lanre Arugundade, and head Coalition Against Corrupt Leaders, relive their experiences of Gani and how his principles have become indelible on the sand of time.
In any way we need to document it, we need to do it, and we need to do it very, very deeply. I think a publication like this, I've not seen it, it's just mere pictures, will have to be updated so that the stories behind those pictures would also be told for generations to come. In the early 80s when we left school, we didn't know any other thing, any other relations than people like Gani Fayemi, who has started mentoring us as foster parents since when we were in school.
The occasion impressed on Nigerians the need to continue to follow the principles lived and died for by Gani Fayemi. Anita Fatunji, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You're watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a break now. When we come back, Lagos State government tells stigmatized treated Ebola patients to seek court action. Find out more on this and other stories after this timeout. Don't go away.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes, and bleeding from the eyes, ears, and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces, or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees, or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Glad to have you join us on another edition of The Political Arena, the most detailed and incisive political show.
If you are a sitting governor and the opposition is able to stomach structure against you, that means you are wicked to the people. The end of attack and the legitimate authority to govern this country.
Give me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me.
He has no chance for survival. If he likes himself, this is the best time to get out before he perishes.
The PDP as a ruling party has failed.
So anybody who thinks that government will fold his hands and allow miscreants to take over the streets of our own state and cause havoc is deceiving himself.
The good, bad, ugly, and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on CoreTV News.
One continent, 54 countries, over 2,000 languages, but united with similar interests. As news breaks, we give you in-depth analysis around Africa every Monday on CoreTV News.
Thank you for staying tuned on CoreTV Primetime News. The Lagos government has warned against stigmatization of Ebola-treated patients in the state. The State Commissioner for Health, Jide Idris, advised any stigmatized persons to petition the State Attorney General for necessary action. Abiola Lowale's report is presented from our studios.
As the joint effort from both federal and Lagos state governments against the spread of Ebola virus in the country continue to achieve the desired result, stigmatization of treated victims of the populace has become a major hurdle for both the successfully treated patients and governments. Speaking at a media briefing on further efforts of governments to curb the spread of Ebola virus, Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Jide Idris, appeals to citizens to resist the temptation of stigmatizing any treated Ebola victims in the state. He, however, advised any stigmatized Ebola patients to approach the State Ministry of Justice for proper action.
Social problems being faced by discharged cases have been reported severally. These range from stigmatization, eviction from their accommodation, being asked to stay away from work, and frank termination of employment. We've had cases of employers just terminating the employment of some of their staff who are just mere contacts, not even suspected cases. We believe this is unfair I believe this is impinging on their fundamental human rights. I wish to implore all Lagosians once more not to stigmatize all cases and contacts that have been given a clean bill of health, and passionately urge all of us and urge all employers, inclusive, collectively, in fact, to facilitate their reintegration into the society. The Ministry of Justice will take the matter up. Anybody who feels stigmatized can petition the Ministry of Justice, and they will take that matter up, because it's not fair, it is not right.
Meanwhile, Idris says the only Ebola case in Lagos at the moment is the one transferred from Rivers State.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is concerned that the economic development in many states is not commensurate with the statutory allocations. This, according to the FCC chairman, Ibrahim Lamode, has shown that corruption is assuming an alarming proportion of the state level. He made this known at a workshop organized in conjunction with the House of Representatives Committee on State and Local Government Affairs in Abuja. Pius Samuel completes this story.
EFCC says it is determined to fight corruption across the country, but admits that there is need to sensitize those in authorities at state level on ways to fight the menace. The Commission's chairman is concerned that development in some states is not commensurate to the monies received from the federal government. Lamude, who was represented at the forum, attributed this to corruption.
Investigations by the EFCC show that there is corruption at a very alarming proportion at the state government level in the country. Where more money is found, the tendency for more corruption is high. The combined amount of money which goes to the states every month from the federation account is quite enormous. However, the level of development in the state is not commensurate to the monies received. This is owing to corruption and poor fiscal responsibilities. Poor service delivery, inadequate infrastructural amenities, poor management of public enterprise, bad governance, moral decadence, and general development are among the impacts of corruption on attempts at development among state governments in the country. The problem of corruption and lack of fiscal transparency perhaps remains one of the hydra-headed factors that account for the inefficiency and retarded the growth of state governments in Nigeria.
Now, the lawmakers are ready to collaborate with EFCC to make the state and the country corruption-free. They say they are keen to make sure that every area of governance is corruption-free.
Corruption as a major element and a factor has inflicted adversely not only on the economic development of the nation, but also the name and integrity of the country. Little wonder, therefore, that the National Assembly never looked back on its primary responsibility of lawmaking to ensure that necessary anti-corruption laws were promulgated.
Participants at the event are hopeful that the workshop will create room for a corrupt-free nation.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call because corruption has hit almost everybody. Even the wheelbarrow pusher on the street is talking about corruption. Everybody is talking about corruption. So, in fact, this seminar is a wake-up call for everybody to sit right and then do the right thing.
The drive, like I said, is to ensure that there is good governance, there is improvement. Some of the ills, not only in governance, but even in the societies, regarding corruption, can be actually be tackled.
The workshop is taking place in batches, starting with Northwest region, and it will last for 6 weeks. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The federal government is convinced that the subsidy reinvestment program has been a success since its establishment. It also sees it as a justification of its decision to partially remove oil subsidy. Information Minister Labram Marcus said all this when he paid a courtesy call on the leadership of Shopee in Abuja. He used the opportunity to further sell the idea of subsidy removal while the Shopee leadership wants states and local authorities to use the allocation on worthwhile community projects.
We wish that we are having similar impact from the state and local governments. As you know, the Shopee money is shared, in the formula of the federation account. The federal government takes its portion, the state governments take their own portion, and the local governments take their own portion. Now, at the federal level, the president has been able to constitute this committee to account for what we do directly to the people of Nigeria. I will encourage the states to similarly do so, because the money that's coming from Shopee is supposed to go directly to relieve the lives of Nigerians and intervene in those critical sectors that will impact. So if we have this level of transparency at the state and local government level in terms of money received and projects implemented, I am sure that the combined impact of what we're doing at the federal level and the state will change the story, in many families and also in different communities in Nigeria.
Middle of last month, the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister did publish in the dailies the amount that goes to federal, the amount in cash, not in percentage now, that goes to each state, and the total amount that goes to the local government of each state was published. So I do not understand why people will look always at the federal, and if the state deny, it's in black and white, it is there in paper, let them come to deny that the honorable minister is telling a lie. It's in black and white. I've said it again, quote me, 54% of the subsidy money goes to the 36 state and federal capital territory with their local government.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take another break and return with business news with Sabena Izoku. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emotan of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as weak, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
From the capital markets, we bring information on stock market reports, talk about GDP and economic growth, showcase entrepreneurs and startups, bring on financial experts to analyze and share the views on financial issues affecting the economy. On Business Weekly, we bring business to you.
Welcome to Business News with me, Sabena Izuku. Brent crude fell below $100 per barrel for the first time in 14 months. This adds financial worry to the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries members. OPEC delegates say it was as a result of weak demand and oversupply, mainly from the U.S. recovery in Libya, Nigeria, and Iran. According to report, concerns about slower economic growth and ample supply of oil at $100 will favor the 12-member group. OPEC does not have an official price target, and prices still need to fall further to be outside an acceptable zone, cited by Saudi Oil Minister Ali Al-Naimi in June, when he said oil at $100, $110, $95 is a good price. Estimates from the International Monetary Fund indicate that while current prices are comfortable for OPEC's core Gulf members, they are below levels members including Iran, Algeria, Iraq need in 2014 for their fiscal balance to be zero. But estimates from the Arab Petroleum Investment Corporation, an organization of Arab petroleum exporting countries body that finances oil investment, pull the break-even level for number one producer Saudi Arabia, much closer to current prices at $98.40, and the OPEC weighted average at $104.80. The Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry and Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA, has urged more incentives for farmers and other agricultural players, while also asking the federal government for better infrastructure to boost real investment in the sector. The national president, NASIMA, Badaru Mohammed Abubakar, speaking at the economic briefing in Lagos, says incentives and adequate infrastructure would adequately address challenges of low productivity and poor research and development bugging the industry. According to him, there has been increase in large-scale farming activities in the country owing to policy formulation of the federal government. He, however, lamented the delay in budget, causing consequences including dislocation of proper planning by the government and private sectors whose plans were directly dependent on policies and provision of annual budgets. Gas shortage supply has its negative effect on the manufacturing sector, which prompted them to resort to generators, thereby crippling growth, production output, and competitiveness of industries in the country. Cargo clearance, multi-taxation, and levies, among others, are of concerns too. He further urged institutions of higher learning to tailor their curricula to the needs of industries, as firms often requested expertise from other climes, even when the country had abundant human resources. Investment Corporation of Dubai, ICD, the main investment arm of the Emirates of Dubai, has acquired 243.5 million units of Dangote Cement PLC shares sold by Dangote Industry Limited for 48 billion naira. Middle Eastern countries such as United Arab Emirates and Qatar are fast becoming a catalyst for trade and growth in Nigeria as the cash-flush Gulf states deploys their finances in a bid to expand investment opportunities. According to reports, Africa is fast emerging as the next frontier, and its status as the most promising market of the new millennium has attracted Arab countries working diligently to stake a claim and the new markets within the African continent. Investment Corporation of Dubai in Dangote Cement marks its debut. Investment in sub-Saharan Africa. Dangote Cement, which has in recent years achieved significant revenue growth and industry-leading margins, has market capitalization of approximately $23 billion. And on the stock market, the equity transaction on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The All Shares Index depreciated by 0.34% to close at 40,868.02 basis points. Market capitalization decreased and closes in the same manner at 13.49 trillion naira. In all, a total of 1.6 billion shares, valued at 46.3 billion naira, were exchanged in 4,782 deals. Report shows the 40 oil topped the gainers chart, followed by Total PLC, Ashaka Cement, Cal PLC, and Nigerian Brewers. On the other hand, Seplat Oil topped the losers chart, followed by Nestle PLC, Dangote Cement, Guinness PLC, and Corn Oil PLC. Meanwhile, here are the top 5 trades. That's it on business news. Franco Malapel will be back with the rest of the news. Please stay with us.
Welcome you to From the Ivory Tower and happenings around the country. Varsity teachers get to air their views. Students are actually not left out. We bring you intellectual ends from the events happening around you. It is dedicated to educating the populace with a spice of entertainment.
From the Ivory Tower, Tuesdays, only on CoreTV News.
Our style, that's what he delivered. Here's that ball storming, now he takes Toyol with a flying lead.
Ball taking him out in the later minutes.
The
It's your CoreTV news at prime time. In sport now, Nigeria's standing captain Austin Ejide says the Super Eagles are well prepared for their 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against South Africa and Western Night. Nigerians suffered a surprise 3-2 home defeat at the hands of Congo Republic in their opening Group A match over the weekend, making the Cape Town Stadium clash against Bafana Bafana a crucial feature. However, goalkeeper Ejide believes the Super Eagles have put in the necessary preparations to get back on track and see the match against South Africa, a team they have traditionally dominated, as an opportunity to restore their pride. Now, FIFA have disclosed Nigeria will no longer be suspended after the Nigeria Football Federation complied with a recent directive. However, the World Football Governing Body warned it will suspend the country if there were any more hindrance to elections into the NFF Executive Committee this month. Nigeria risked a FIFA ban had persons claiming to have won elections since the NFF Executive Committee not vacated the Federation's office before a FIFA deadline of Monday morning. On Tuesday afternoon, NFF President Aminu Megeri and several of his Executive Committee members reported to the office. This was after General Secretary Musa Amadu and top management staff of the NFF returned to their office the previous day, with Amadu confirming that the crisis was over. And now, Lazio midfielder Eugenio Nazzi has revealed that he may consider his future with the Italian Serie A side when the transfer window reopens in January. The 21-year-old Nigerian had been linked to several clubs, including Manchester City, Southampton, Liverpool and Everton over the summer, but nothing has come through. Nazzi says his focus now is to help Lazio do well this season. Last season, Lazio finished 9th on the Serie A table. Now, KPR could be refused future entry into the championship if they fail to pay a potential huge fine for breaching financial fair play rules. Chairman Tony Fernandez has indicated he would appeal against a fine from the Football League, which would be around €54 million if losses for Rangers' promotion season matched the €65.4 million in 2012-2013. But if the club don't pay, the Football League can block entry to its own competitions. It has been argued relegated clubs are at greater risk of penalties due to the huge wage costs associated with the Premier League. KPR's swift return to the top tier had the potential to cause the Football League difficulties, as they could be left trying to collect fines from clubs who are no longer in their jurisdiction. And outside Nigeria now, a preliminary report by Dutch investigators say a Malaysian passenger jet which blew up over rebel-held East Ukraine with the loss of all 298 people on board was hit by numerous high-energy objects. While the report does not point the finger of blame over the July disaster, it could heighten Western pressure against Moscow over its role in the bloody Ukraine conflict, as well as confirms claims in some quarter that it was down by a missile.
Images show that pieces of wreckage were punctured in numerous places. The pattern of damage to the body of the aircraft and the cockpit is consistent with the damage that would be expected from a large number of high-energy objects that penetrated the aircraft. The initial results of the investigations point towards an external cause of the MH17 crash. More research will be necessary to determine the cause with greater precision. MH17 proceeded as normal until it ended abruptly. Listening to the communications among the crew members in the cockpit via the cockpit voice recorder revealed no sign of any technical faults or an emergency situation.
Now, British Prime Minister David Cameron and opposition leader Ed Miliband said in a joint statement that they would travel to Scotland on Wednesday as polls show those for and against independence evenly split ahead of next week's referendum. Cameron and Miliband will miss the usual weekly parliamentary debate but say they want to be listening and talking to voters about the huge choice they face. Cameron has, however, continued to speak strongly about the development.
Lot that the political leaders disagree about, but there's one thing we all agree about passionately, and that is that our United Kingdom is better off if we stay together. So tomorrow, the right place to be isn't in Westminster at Prime Minister's questions, it's being in Scotland, listening to people, talking to people. We'll all have our own ways, separately, of talking about why we're better together. But one thing I'm sure we'll all say is that it's a matter for people in Scotland to decide, but we want you to stay. And it is for the Scottish people to decide, but I want them to know that the rest of the United Kingdom, and I speak as Prime Minister, want them to stay. So all those steps we can take, making sure people in Scotland know that they can have the best of both worlds, more powers to govern themselves, but also being inside the United.
Well, and that's been the show tonight on CoreTV Primetime News. On behalf of the entire news team, I am Frank Omalape, wishing you a happy night rest. Thanks for watching.